The Jaguar F-PACE V6S, so the very powerful sports variant with the S logo, you can see it right here, in the petrol version. That is today on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars with Thomas. We're going to take a detailed look on the exterior, interior feature and of course the driving performance of this sports variant with 380 horsepower, and we have already tested also the diesel variants of the Jaguar F-PACE. You can check those ones out in another video. We will also link it in the video description below. But so far, let's go with this one here now, with a very strong one on Autogefühl in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go. In the front, wow, so massive, so powerful and so beautiful with this huge Jaguar front and the Jaguar Growler. Too bad it's in 2D, not 3D, because here we got the ACC, the automatic cruise control, or the adaptive cruise control. Then you have to go for this rather ugly 2D logo. That's really a pity. I think they have to search another way to hide the sensors and still keep a 3D logo. The Jaguar J-Blade will soon also show it how it looks in the dark. That was a really beautiful one. And here in the lower part, this one, you know, is just fake plastic, but it looks massive at least from the outer appearance. The S version here comes with this black front grille and more massive lower bumpers. 4.73 m or 15.5 is the total length of the Jaguar F-PACE, and the beautiful racing red here, also with the fitting Jaguar growlers at the 20-inch rims. 20-inch, that's how the S version comes. It starts with 18-inch in the pure version, and the maximum optionally available would be even 22-inch. And look at those beautiful and evolving lines we have here. Coupe style, so it doesn't really need a coupe version. And then you see there's just a slight design line here, and it evolves further when we go to the shoulder part of the car, and then we have those massive shoulder and the horizontally drawn taillights that have also this E-type inspired form by the round shape at the lower part, but the straight shape at the upper part. So overall, I think a very good design job. And in the rear, what is the difference? Well, most of all with the S version, because with the the F-PACE with the S version, we have those exhaust pipes, two really massive ones for the V6. This is our Jaguar key for today, and it resembles also the Land Rover keys now. And you also have keyless entry here, for example, or closing the car, that's also possible. Solid door handles and, well, closing sounds, we have heard better ones. Then let's start with the inside of the doors, because the F-PACE, if you compare it to the XE or the XF, the new Jaguars, this one here has a more sensual design. You can also see it here on the inside of the doors. Very interesting. Overall, solid build here, also for the window controls. Then if you look at the interior, what is really interesting, we got different trims as usual. Pure, for example, you can get cloth seats from fabric. I would recommend that, and also keeps the price low. And the Jaguar F-PACE has a good serial or standard equipment, for example, Bluetooth connection, 2-zone air conditioning, and also the autonomous emergency brake. And then you should avoid prestige and portfolio levels, because you then get animal skin on the seats. What is possible? This is the S line. So the S level also says here on the steering wheel. For that one, on the middle part, you get then microfiber. On the outside leather, that's, I mean, better than the full one. And also with the R Sport, you get then fabric on the inside, a special mesh fabric, and also on the outside then leather. Sometimes it's uncertain in the price list. Is it then leather red on the outside or real animal skin? But I mean, it's better than the pure variant. So you have some options. This one here also with the electric controls for all of the seats, lumbar support. And what is working very well is also the memory function that we can find right here. And even while driving, you just press M once and then the respective number, and you can save the different seating positions then. And that helps you very much because, for example, this would be my position now, and if I press then number 1, that would be the seating position of, well, to turn on the ignition first, that's important. So, and if I press number 1 then, so where we go. No. There it is. So you see the position changes, and that would be a different seating position now for someone smaller. It's like doesn't really fit me then. And if I press number 2 then again, that would be mine. You see that everything is changing, seat, and also the steering wheel setup could change. You can also control it electronically with the button right here, but also in combination to the memory function. So overall, a very good solution when 2 people are using the car. And you're already hearing it when you have the ignition on and the door is opened. It's always like bam, bam, bam. Pretty annoying, but you know, in some countries it's also mandatory that you get the warnings and stuff. Cockpit overview here, and again proves what I said earlier. You got a rather central design also if you compare it with the sedan versions. Also here those lines, and indeed Jaguar also wanted that this car appeals more to women, but I think they have done a good job design wise, because it doesn't look to me that it would just be a man's or just be a women's car. I think it works very well for everyone. Or what's your opinion on that one? Then what do we see the central of this new interior with some nice details? For example, Jaguar sign here on the vents. Central part is this new screen, 10.2 inch. This is the InControl Pro, and the InControl Touch, the lower version, would be then 8 inch. So like this, something like this. And this one here is also better as for the software. The smaller one, it's not only that you get a smaller screen. I also had, let's say, not that good experience with that one because it was rather slow. This one here is rather fast in the reaction times. We'll soon show you more details about that one. Then below that we got the AC unit with those glass windows here and nice clicking sound for plus and minus. Start stop button, and below that this is here the Jaguar drive selector. When you start the engine it goes up, says welcome, I'm a Jaguar, please drive with me, and then you can go into reverse gear and stuff. And also you see that the new reverse camera, and also here in the bigger screen you get a very good view to the reverse camera. Then when I turn off the car it slides down again. Steering wheel is rather compact. However, the buttons here on the inside, it's the same than originally with the F-Type, and those are not from the best quality. I would like to see something else there. Shifting pedals here with this aluminum look, but it's just a coating. But however, design-wise, it's very beautiful. In some parts, we would like to see a little bit more improvement on the interior quality, that it also fits to the very nice exterior. Then also, what I found very nice is here the Jaguar logo. So they thought about a very lot nice design details. Pretty small, the glove box department here, but at least you got some more other storage spaces here around. This will be the selector for the different driving modes. I'll explain to you what they mean while we drive, the dynamic mode, normal, eco and snow. Soon more about that. Then you see no manual handbrake. beverage holders. They're a little bit adaptive with those rubber pads, and you can also close them for visual purposes. Then what is interesting here, the cover of the armrest. I'm pretty sure it's leather red, and what they could improve is it's put directly on the plastic below that, and that just makes it very hard. If they could put some cloth beneath it, it would be a little bit softer and more comparable to what we see in the German premium manufacturers. However, what I think is good, for example, if you press the button here, you see it goes up a little bit by itself, and in the initial F-PACE version, this one here was rather loose. They've obviously done their homework, and you see fixed the middle part now, so very good job in improving the build quality as the building process evolves. USB slots we have here too, HDMI, SIM card, 12-volt power supply, not too much space in the middle part, and here we have this activity key, and this one can be placed at the rear hatch, for example, when you go outside surfing, that you can leave the normal key on the inside, so you put the normal key in here, just get this one with you, and then you can open and close it, put it on the rear hatch. We have tested it once already. Let's say it does work, but I know it didn't work 10 out of 10 times, so a little bit less. So sometimes did, sometimes not. I think it's a nice idea, but would I really trust on it and leave the original key in the car? That's maybe something I really have to get used to at the start. So you can also get digital instruments, 12.3-inch screen, and the left screen is the one that can be adaptive, in a more comprehensive way, for example, for vehicle information, next service and stuff. And source, for example, for your music, which one you want to have, display settings, assistant systems, for example, or the consumption and stuff. Here, for example, display setting. This is interesting because we have the info display. For example, we can set what's on that one, and then here this is interesting because you directly see something. You can change the style, and this one looks a little bit gaming style, I would say. This one may be more modern, graphic. This one a little bit more elegant maybe, and then this one is also available with minimum information, so you can play around with those a little bit. So what about the infotainment? Starting here in the lower area, first of all, the detailed shot here at the temperature vents is also equipped with a heated windscreen. I'm sometimes a little bit annoyed by heated windscreens at daylight when you look against the windscreen, but it helps you so much in winter times when you don't have a basement garage, and in 2 minutes your windscreen is really perfectly fine. And this one here belongs, let's say, together, because here you have a hotkey to change the vents where they're coming from. It's not possible to access it directly with the button, but then the one pops out in the infotainment screen. The same thing account for the seat heating, and you can put on the seat heating when the car is running, but you have to press the button here first, and then you get to the screen right here. Other than that, it's right there at the screen. Also with the camera, you can activate it already right here. This is no, I'm not hitting the fence in front of us, but it looks like I would be. So this is the fake drone view from above, and the normal rear view camera is also available. I can, for example, also pick this camera to see that I'm not damaging the alloys, or to the front to look at the fence, or then to deactivate one of the cameras and then can pick the second one, for example, those two at the same time. So a lot of possibilities, or the full rear view look, and a great resolution they've picked here now. So what else can we see? This is the main menu. You can also scroll in that one like this, for example. You can either connect your phone via Bluetooth like this, and the other solution would be the in-control system, so with a cable, and then you can check that one in a separate video that will be linked below, how that one works. And here, for example, camera view again, this app view you have here. In-control apps will be the connection that I've talked about. So I think it all works pretty pretty fine, also with good reaction times. You see when I click something, it immediately appears. So I think this one here, the bigger infotainment screen, is really nice. The smaller one I cannot recommend. This one here hasn't surplus extra price, yes, but it's worth it when you're working a lot with it. So what can we see here? This is in the map, and you can see that scrolling in the map is also very possible. And also here, as for the reaction time, I think quite satisfying, the result, and also how the visual presentation is welcoming us. The S version, by the way, also fits with this one here, this nice velour ceiling, and it looks great, it feels great, and we would like to see more of that in the interior. So let's get inside the rear, and first of all, look left side of your screen, right there on the outside is all black, and I wonder, shouldn't that be painted on the chassis? Other than that, let's get inside, as I would be sitting in the front, 1.86 m or 6'1", as you might remember as a subscriber. And there's still some space left above my head. Knee space, you know, some left. So I mean, for 4 tall Ls, it's perfectly fine here. Although, considering the total length of this vehicle, it does not have the best package. So we have similar long vehicles, for example, recently the Skoda Kodiaq, which had, you know, almost the same length, or it had way more space in the rear. So it's not that they're using the best space they have, but then if you also compare it with other premium manufacturers, it's not really in a bad situation. You can use the space a little bit better, but as I said, if you pick that size here, 4 adults will work. 12-volt power supply and USB supply we have here in the rear, and also beverage holders, that is possible. You can flip the seats also from here, and that's possible like this. Also works relatively flat. We'll also take another look at that one from the rear. Isofix for the child seats on both outer sides, and let's see if we also have a top tether somewhere here. Does not look like it, but at least the Isofix at the lower points. And the seating position here in general is also relatively upright, so this one is definitely more comfortable than in the Jaguar sedans, also for the rear passengers. Well, I found those ones, but I don't think that those can function as top tethers. It looks more like, you know, the fixation for another trunk cover, for example, if you have a dog in the rear. Let's open the hatch, the electric tailgate here. Then they have designed those covers quite nicely. There's no replacement tire in here, but I think you can put one optionally. And you know, there are also SUVs with more trunk space, but I think it's a reasonable result. And also, if you compare it to the Jaguar sedans, this one is the best usable one. Maybe the old XF Sport Brake. I've heard rumors that it will also come again as an estate. But here the best thing is that you can also flip the seats from the rear, and they really do flip. So that's a very good system. Even in the Audi A4 Avant, this does not work. You have to go to the rear compartment and help it with flipping. Here it works pretty fine. Also with the 12-volt power supply, you can fold up here. So overall, I think very good result for the trunk. You can use that one very well. And of course, you could also remove this top cover here if you want to put a bicycle in there. And you know, sometimes we have already shown you how the car appears in the dark from the outside and from the inside. And we want to know, how shall we call that category and maybe make it a real institution here also at Autogefühl. Maybe the Autogefühl darkness check, the Autogefühl ambient check, the Autogefühl ambient test. Give me your ideas. And this is here the F-PACE with the Jaguar J blade. You can see it here in the LED signature, very beautiful. And also with the turning indicators, for example, when you open and close the car, and of course when you are really using the turning indicators while driving. Very beautiful. And another lighting feature is that one. When I open the car, side mirrors flip out and show this beautiful paddle light. It's called paddle light because, you know, when you're in Germany or in Britain and we got some rain here, maybe you step in that, and here you can see how you can avoid the puddles next to the car. And the ambient light at the inside of the doors, also in this very sensual design. And also the middle buttons are in the same color. I've tried to change the color. You can change the background of the screen here like this. I've picked this background scheme now, but I found no function to change the ambient light color. Maybe some of you guys know, but we've searched all the menu. It doesn't really appear. I don't know why. Under the hood, basically you have a 2-liter diesel, a 3-liter diesel V6, and then the petrol variants, the V6 supercharged. And those ones here either available with 340 horsepower or with 380 horsepower here in the S version, and 5.5 seconds from 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 62 miles an hour. And how this one is different from, for example, the bigger diesel or the 340 horsepower variant, I'll tell you more in our driving part. Driving part, Jaguar F-PACE V6S, the petrol S version. And where will those 380 horsepower bring us? 5.5 seconds was the acceleration figure. Again, what was the difference? Is 0.3 to the 340 horsepower variant, so 380 versus 340 from the V6 petrol, and is about 0.7 seconds faster than the diesel S variant. The biggest difference here is of course the sound. I'm starting a normal driving mode, and just when I slightly hit the throttle I hear this growling V6 sound. This is, I think, really the biggest difference. I mean, the diesel, the 3-liter diesel is also very powerful. So the power is not the biggest difference then. It's more really about the sound. However, driving the V6 here, also if you compare it, for example, with riding one of the smaller engines that is available for this vehicle, feels a little bit more sovereign for sure. And that's a very important aspect. This engine here is not too high consuming. I mean, we're about 10.7 liters here, and for a V6 with 380 horsepower, I think that's okay. I mean, consumption can always be lower, but if you could also consider some very small 2-liter turbo petrol engines where we have equal consumption figures or maybe sometimes even higher, then it's really okay. And the reason for that is probably that also this engine is derived from the former V8 naturally aspirated engine, which is one of my favorite engines of all time, the former V8 5-liter from Jaguar, which you could also easily drive with 10 liters. Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of introducing this V6 turbo, or well, it's a compressor to be. It's, you know, the way of turbocharging is compressing the air. So this V6 compressor, or supercharger as you say, as I introduced this engine, there were some problems really with the engines, but of course as the engine gets older, more evolved, they fix some problems, and meanwhile it's way better than in the beginning. So with a normal driving mode, and that's also what the Jaguar F-PACE is rather about, it's not the sportiest car for sure, it's more about the comfort in riding. I mean, that's what most SUVs are about. You have this high seating position, very comfortable, and I also appreciate the car for that. And that's also a difference to the Jaguar sedans, which which are also basically comfortable, but here you have this high seating position, and a lot of Jaguar customers will also appreciate that. However, this one here, the S version, also comes with the adaptive suspension from standard equipment, and that makes the car, sportier. Sound again. So also when I do some lane changes here, for example, the car does not tilt as much as the non-adaptive suspension would be. So here you can have both the comfortable run but also the sporty run at the same time. The steering wheel, you maybe also seen the turning angle, you've also seen when more corners, then it feels rather natural. It's not too heavy to control, rather light to control. It could be a little bit more direct or a little bit more progressive, as I tend to say. That I need a little bit less steering angle. Overall, I'm also satisfied with that. Suspension-wise, I think we have experienced SUVs that master this compromise between sportiness and comfort a little bit better. So I've experienced better suspensions in compact SUVs. But overall, especially if you pick this adaptive suspension right here, also a satisfying result, no question. There are different driving modes. For example, also the eco driving mode. For example, the throttle input is decreased and also the car is sailing or coasting better. See hardly any speed decrease. So this can help also save some fuel. And there's also the snow mode. This one decreases the throttle input even more, also sets the parameters a little bit differently for the all-wheel drive and the electronic stability control. In general, the all-wheel drive that we have mounted in here has a rear wheel bias. Jaguar tends just to use the same system as BMW uses for the X-Drive. That is something to do with the supplier that is behind that. As I recall it right, it was Magna. And therefore you also have the rear wheel bias. So even if both axles are active with the torque, you get more torque over the rear axle to ensure a rather sporty driving behavior. And the sporty driving behavior can also be increased with the sport mode. And you already hear it then when I go to the sport mode, because the gears are going higher in the RPMs then, so shifts down earlier and shifts up later. You also see this middle console has changed to a red instrument view now to stress the racing feeling of that car. And when we soon will enter the motorway, we'll really hammer the throttle and then you can hear the sound even better, and also see how this race mode will also change the characteristics and get even more power out of the car. At the same time, you can also use the shifting pedals very well to control. For example, also when I want to decrease the speed when rolling down this hill now, but you can always hold the right shifting pedal. When you hold it for 2-3 seconds, the car goes back to the automatic mode once again. Always nice when driving is also that you can see those central lines with the hood, with the power dome. That is one thing which also Porsche 911 drivers, for example, appreciate, that they have the shape of the headlights when they look out of the window. And here with the Jaguar power dome, it's also the same when you look out of the window. I'm still, again, mentioned it earlier, a little bit irritated by those windscreen heaters. But when I talk to people, some say, I didn't even realize that. So it maybe also depends on maybe how good your eyesight is, because it's also different. I do have to wear glasses, but when I wear glasses, my vision in those vision tests is about, I think, 130%, they say. So when the weakness I have from the form of my eyes, is even out with the glasses, what's inside the eye, how the system works is obviously quite well here, so I can see that, but some do not even realize, and then it's no problem. And I mean, for half a year you just ride with it and maybe be annoyed with it. So I mean, if you park outside in the winter and it's very cold in your region, you always get all the windscreen frozen up, then it really makes sense. Other than that, maybe better get the free view. So when I'm here in the sport mode, what I do realize is, especially because the car is kept in the gear lower, I have immediate response from the throttle, and that really helps, of course, if you want to be a little faster. And we're about to approach the Autobahn now and also go uphill, and then you can listen to the engine, how it sounds from the inside, and also look at the performance, because you see also the digital speed. You can see that, you can see that. So I've put the steering wheel purpose a little bit further in here, that you can still see that. Leave a little bit of space to the car in front of me. So let's say we're about 50 now, and uphill would be a little bit cheating, I think. So now we're straight, and Then let's go 50 to 100. Okay. I mean, it went fast in the end, but what I was wondering about, the car took quite a while to get that going, although we were in race mode. It was a little bit strange. Well, it was dynamic mode. So I would have expected maybe that the car starts in a lower gear. It seems like you have to do it on your own. And what you also heard is, you know, this supercharger sound. So that is something else than, you know, this very sonorous, low frequency sound from a naturally aspirated engine. So it seems like when you want an even faster acceleration, that the acceleration also really sets in, that you maybe shift down yourself at first. Because I mean, on paper with those 5.5 seconds, I mean, that's really fast, but I didn't feel that fast here right now because the car took a lot of time to do this kickdown. Nice sun here today, for sure. It took quite some days to get some sun again. So let's shift down ourselves. For example, now third gear. So let's do some 80 to 100 in third gear. Let's see. That's what it is. So you can see you can get the performance. Good thing is just, you know, when you use the shifting pedals, that is maybe the cleverest thing to get the real performance of the engine, and you can also very well hear that then. That it seems like that even in the dynamic mode, I can hardly see anymore against this very low sun here in winter times. So even in the race mode, the car seems to be shifting up quite fastly, which usually makes sense because it saves you fuel, you know. When I mean, and what I have the impression is that the sound is maybe even better if you're not pressing the throttle until the very end, well, in those low RPM regions. So it's also an interesting finding for sure. That was, by the way, the warning for the car in front of me. And so this car is also packed full of this low standing sun is really hard today. So what we can also do is use the adaptive cruise control, and the left screen also tells me that it's active, and so the distance is kept to the car in front of me, works pretty well. Autonomous emergency brake is from standard equipment, as I said earlier, and that is also very good. Really appreciate that they do that. And we also have the blind spot warner. Maybe you've already seen them active in the side mirrors. Maybe let's go a little bit slower, that someone overtakes us. I can show you that one. So now it should appear here in the left. There it is, blinking. And this is also a very useful system you can get here for the Jaguar F-PACE. And so far, also the assistance systems working pretty well. So a comfortable, relaxed feeling on the Autobahn, and well, the V6 gives us enough power also that we can do some overtaking maneuvers. So also at the higher speeds, I mean, there's never a lack of power. And you maybe also heard that also in the Autobahn here now, we didn't have any problems with sound installation. So yeah, here again, the car takes some time to shift down even in the race mode. So not sure if there's even the biggest difference between the race and the normal mode. So I would rather just stay in the normal mode, and then if you want to do some very fast overtaking maneuvers, maybe use then here the shifting pedals to shift down yourself before. So sound installation wise, also now a good result. And you know what I've told you earlier, I mean, at the very, very first tests we do, we sometimes get the vehicles that are maybe still, you know, after one of the first builds, or maybe among the very first builds from the factory, sometimes even hand built. And I really have the feeling that they have improved the whole car here, as for the interior quality and also for the driving experience throughout the building process. So with this vehicle, I'm also already more satisfied than I was with the initial test. Let's get some cornering right now. The steering, you see in the corners, feels a little bit dead. So when you're in the corners and want to force the issue a little bit, it doesn't give you the most natural feeling anymore then, so they could work on that. So I think that we had better results here as for the directness of the steering. Here also when we're going some slalom, this is quite okay. I mean, especially in the low angle situation here, we surely had something that was fitting better, especially, you know, when you're in rather long corners, and then you need a feeling, you know, of how you can push the car. And that's better if you have a little bit more direct contact. I'll test it again in the dynamic mode as well, if this also is changing the steering. It's supposed to, but I mean, it always depends on how much is really being changed there. Sometimes there are big differences, sometimes not so much differences. So, well, this V6 here, I mean, also if it's not the lightest variant, it surely feels a little bit lighter. Let's see if the steering wheel changes. To be honest, I don't feel much of a difference. Maybe just a very little one. This one here is way lighter than the Range Rover Sport, for example. You do feel that. That's, you know, important if you think about buying a Jaguar F-PACE or maybe a Range Rover Sport. You should know that this one is way lighter, a couple of 100 kilograms. This is due to this all-new aluminum architecture, for example, and also partly because of other engines, depending on, you know, which engine you compare to which one. So this is also an important aspect for sure. However, as I said earlier, there are also sportier SUVs on the market. This is not, you know, the main focus here of the F-PACE, and I think it also doesn't have to be. With the adaptive suspension, I'm perfectly satisfied. The V6 engine is fun to drive, even if shifting down takes a while. I mean, you can always use your own shifting pedals, and for that, in general, I think it's okay that the setup of how the gears are being shifted up is rather, you know, let's say, come earlier. And I told you, also compared to other competitors here, like a Porsche, a Macan, this is one of those powerful SUVs where we had the lowest consumption. So this was also an important aspect. I mean, especially nowadays times where sustainability is getting more and more important, and people also want to combine luxury with sustainability. Then, you know, that's also what Autogefühl is about, mainly that we can enjoy some great cars without saying, you know, whatever, let's destroy everything just that we can drive cars and stuff. Want to drive? Let's go. Yeah, so UPS truck always quite loud then. So I think the only thing that would be missing would be, what is this guy doing here? The only thing that would be missing is some more agility, maybe. Let's ride up the hill. So let's ride up to Pikes Peak. Listen a little bit more to the engine, also test some more of the agility. And you do feel a difference if you think about, you know, the 2-liter diesel or something like that, especially here the adaptive suspension together with the V6. You really do feel a difference, and yeah, that one is the sportier variant for sure. So let's have some fun, enjoy those last driving bits in the sunlight with the Jaguar F-PACE S, some V6 sound, and Thomas driving. So the conclusion, Jaguar F-PACE S with the V6 petrol engine. It's definitely the most fun variant to drive and also the one that sounds the best. So if, money does not play any role, this would probably be the best pick. But as I said earlier, it's double the price almost than the entry version. And well, exterior wise, very beautiful. I mean, one of the most beautiful SUVs with, not so many design lines, powerful front, huge front grille. Just, the 2D logo when you've picked the ACC sensor, that's not really pleasing. Other than that, really beautiful. Inside also a very beautiful design. And they've stepped up the game for the interior quality also, and they really needed to, because so far there's still a small gap to the German premium manufacturers, but they're also on a way to improve the build quality even further than on the interior. Design-wise, it's not a question. They have really well done that. And also the bigger infotainment system is also working pretty well, of course. Just be sure that you pick the right seat choices, not the ones that we had here today. But, I've explained to you there are plenty of choices you can go for. The package, we've seen better ones in other SUVs, but overall, S is also, not a small compact SUV, rather a long compact SUV between full-size and compact for European sense. It's still working very well with 4 adults, so overall also one of the most flexible, most versatile Jaguars here so far. And I mean, fun to drive, not the sportiest one we've driven so far, but good in the comfort. So overall, I think in the premium compact SUV segment, they have a really competitive product. Looking forward to your feedback then on our Autogefühl episode for today. I'm sure we'll also see each other next time.